Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
I'm here with a kind-hearted woman named Gina, who's agreed to share this time with you so that you can benefit from her experience and strength and hope and wisdom and story, as well as her trials and tribulations and stumbles and falls. Right, Gina?
Yes.
So why don't we start at the beginning? What was food like for you? How did you find us, and what helped?
I'm pretty much a lifelong binger. I binged from the time that I can remember, like even as a kid. Yes, I would go through periods where I wouldn't for some period of time, maybe just because life was exciting at the time or, there were a lot of distractions. But as always, there are going to be periods of life that are hard or dull or whatever. And that's when binging seems to be attractive. In the past, it would make you feel comforted. I can hear other people who understand that exact concept on the calls and everything. Just that feeling of comfort. And, I remember even as a kid, just kind of thinking about the time when I could be alone and overeat as this kind of secret, comforting, almost like friend, but just that appeal. There's something about it that was hard to get away from. And over my life, I've been to psychologists. I've done other health programs. Overall, other than when I had kids, I wasn't that overweight. It's not exactly visible. So I would do a good job of exercising to fight off the pounds or dieting for some amount of time to fight off the pounds and things like that. Especially during COVID and my kids getting old, I got less busy. And then, of course, with COVID, I think everyone's life was suddenly empty in a lot of ways. So that really made it flare up. And so at that point, I started looking online for a lot of different health-related programs. But it was like, oh my goodness, there's a program that's specifically for binging. I had never even known that existed before. I don't even know still if others exist, but I thought, oh my goodness. And it was somehow through other programs I'd seen that things would come up on my feeds or podcasts or Instagram, what have you. So I finally clicked on it. And then immediately I was like, I just know I have to do this, just with the hope that it could help, because any bit of help to be able to permanently end binging was going to be worth it. And so I started with the first program. And of course, it took time. I'm 51, so this didn't happen overnight that I had this pattern of eating. But I just worked through all the homework piece by piece, listened to calls piece by piece, did everything, started recognizing the pig. And I guess when I started getting really excited is when, even if I binged, I fought the pig in my head like at least 3 times first. Oh my God, I actually fought the pig for time and it worked. Even though I binged in the end, I knew I was making progress. And just that concept was so exciting to me because I've never been able to really fight off binging. Yes, I could lose weight. Yes, I could go on a diet, but not this. It's just amazing. Over time now, I've done so much more of the program, and there's so many other things that help me regularly, daily. But even now, when I do have a bad day or a day that's susceptible to those feelings of the kind of low or whatever it is that would open the door to the pig, just the fact that my thoughts come, fighting the pig, refuting the pig, and it's the space between you and the pig. I just find it so exciting because I know, okay, even if for some reason I binge a little bit today, which for me is having one thing off my plan, which is nothing like it was before. Even if I did, because I have at some point or another, I stop and my reaction to it is 100% different. It doesn't keep going all day. It doesn't make me miserable for the rest of the day. It doesn't make me wake up the next morning and hate myself. Just recognizing immediately, look, this still works. I still have this in me. I have all the tools. So it's okay to slip up the one time, whatever it is. I have the space between me and my pig. I have the tools. Of course, you get this great momentum. I've actually lost weight, which I never lose weight without some strict diet, which of course then leads to binging, but regardless, it works. It makes me happy because of the certain parts of the program that focus on happiness. You can bring it all together. That I'm not even finished with all of my homework in my current program, but every piece is huge. I recognize the significance of every piece. And I just don't know what you could do to this program to make it better.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you.
You're
Can
welcome.
I underscore a bunch of the things that you've said?
Sure, please.
I think what you're describing is that you've learned how to intervene in the automaticity, or what was previously automaticity, of the binge response,
Mhm.
where you'd have a feeling or you'd be exposed to some stimulus in the environment or past a bakery or a pizza place or a donut shop. And it previously seemed like it was automatic that you'd have to binge at that time.
Yes.
And you've embraced the idea that there are a number of things you can do to insert a space between that stimulus and response and interfere with that automaticity. And you're understanding that it's like a muscle that develops over time, and that the more you practice that, the stronger you get. And even if you quote unquote fail at a particular workout or you're not able to lift the bar, that overall, month by month, you're getting stronger and you're not living in this automatic binge world anymore. The damage done by the mistakes that you do make is much less. The recovery time is much shorter. Your confidence is growing. And as a consequence, you're experiencing a new life. A world of possibilities are opening up to you and you're experiencing a new life. Congratulations. I think that's wonderful. What are the tools you think that gave you the ability to intervene in that previously automatic loop? Because a lot of people describe it like trying to stop a locomotive in its tracks. How do you do that? How do you manage to stop and separate and make better choices?
I mean, you absolutely said it right when you said it used to be automatic. It was. So being able to stop feels amazing. Of course, the refutations and just practicing them so much at the time, they're not always fun to try to write out, but they serve their purpose. So just the thought that you put in, or that I put into the refutations and going through all of those steps, it really just becomes part of you, or I feel that it became part of me, so that I always have those thoughts that can come to my mind when the locomotive is coming. It's like somehow through the practice of writing them, through the practice of getting used to them, you get used to them. Those thoughts come to your mind. So I listen to some of the calls just over and over. And it might only be 20 or 30 minutes that I have that morning. But the minute I wake up, I'm happy that I woke up. I mean, I could be dead. And then I start with all the other things that are reasons to be happy, reasons that I am happy. And I then relate it back to the program.
Could you talk a little bit more about some specific refutations so people get a sense of what's working for you?
Sure. Okay, so on the refutation side, it is relating the fact that if I have this binge right now, I can predict everything that's going to happen for the next 24 hours. Even though I've always known what a binge is going to cause me to feel like, in the past, I would not be thinking about that. I would only be thinking about that wonderful sugary food. But just by doing it, it makes it more second nature for it to come to you, what you're going to feel like after, and how you're opening the possibility to going down that downward trend. That's the physical misery related, then going on to weight gain if it continues, and feeling like terrible. And then it, of course, affects every other area of your life. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the fact. So you kind of put this all in a little summary so that when you're in that moment, you see all the negative ahead of you if you choose something sugary that you don't really even want. We all know it's not going to solve your problem. The other thing I love that you've said is, yes, I may feel like I have all these problems and frustrations today. You know, work was hard, someone was mean to me. And if I go binge, I not only have 2 problems, then I have 3 problems. Like, it's just adding another problem. So again, that concept of, if I do this, it's just leading to the path of more problems and not experiencing the good things I can find in today. When you wake up in the morning and you've binged, for me, and I think from other people, there's a lot of negative self-talk. So for me, that would start the minute I woke up, because I was reflecting on what happened the day before or the week before when it comes to binging. So now every day I wake up, it's really intention to be happy for all that I have. Of course, I can also now be happy that I've learned so much and I'm at this point. I can be happy that I do know how to fight the pig. I can wake up and I can have a string of things to be happy about related to what I've learned that help me live my life to the fullest. So it just sets you off for a really fantastic day. Then when things do happen or there's a lull, you're not in that frame of mind to be so susceptible to a pig, because you have all these great things that are going on. You know, a tub of ice cream really isn't going to support any of that. It's just going to make you go down a rabbit hole.
Beautiful. Very well said. Very, very well said. Have you also incorporated feeding yourself healthy things to prevent some of the binging urges in the first place?
So for me, sweets are the binge foods. So on my meal plan, I can have them. I just have them on the weekend at certain meals, like basically at lunch. For me, the really silly thing is that I found that during the week, I would end up snacking all night on 2 things in my house: peanuts and chips. I really don't even like peanuts or chips. I don't care if I never eat a peanut or chip again. So I just made a rule: I'm never eating peanuts or chips again. Why am I even eating these things if I don't really even enjoy them?
Since you stopped having peanuts and chips, has any doctor diagnosed you with a peanut or chip deficiency?
They have not.
Just checking.
Again, for me, sweets are my thing. You know, if I was told I could never have sweets again, I'd be depressed. But I didn't even care about peanuts or chips. They just were the snack foods I had sitting in my house. I think about this almost every night. I don't even know how many calories I would have just eaten in peanuts and chips, and I don't care about peanuts or chips. So they're on my rule list. I don't eat them ever. I'm perfectly happy with that. The sweets that I do like, I mean, I pretty much have cake every weekend now. I go get it on Saturday at the grocery store and I have cake for lunch. Perfect. And I've lost weight and I feel great.
It's got specific boundaries and times and amounts associated with it.
Yes.
And you're not falling off a cliff and having cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week.
No, it's perfect. The meal plan is great. And I eat very many healthy foods during the week that I love.
Good. Gina, is there anything else I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, or something else you wanted to be sure to share or tell me about?
There was just one other thing. It was somewhere in the homework that it had you think about a time or times that you felt terrible because of a binge. There was one event that just popped in my head at that time, and I'd binged. And I was with my husband. We were invited to like a last minute going out to dinner and drinks with relatives. And this was years and years ago. I remember being so miserable, feeling horrible. I had thrown on this huge outfit and it was like long sleeve pants and it was summer, but it was just to hide how horrible I felt. And so I always kind of throw that in before eating as an example of what I don't want to feel. It's something else that's in the program, and it really helps as a reminder with all that's great, just that little snippet of, oh yeah, and I don't want to feel like this.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. Beautiful.
I'm just so happy. Glenn, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
bye.
Bye.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.